So yes, I hired a robot and you can do it too. That's exactly what I'm gonna show you in this video because it's so cool. The way we're doing this is through something called RPA, or Robotic Process Automation. What the heck is that? Well, if we break those words down, it becomes a little bit more clear. If we think about a process, you can think about a procedure that you do on your computer every day, whether it's like copying a list of contacts from one application to another or clearing out your spam folder. These are like procedures that you can do every day, and they're really kind of probably important, but they may not be totally essential for you to do. Instead of hiring somebody else, you can hire a robot. That's where the robotic part of this comes in. You can actually train some kind of bot to do this for you. That is RPA, Robotic Process Automation. It's taking something that you do repetitively and basically giving it to software to do instead for you. Frees up your time, and it's just brilliant. So you're like, Darren, how does this work? I want to do this. Well, basically you need some kind of software or code or tool that you can train or tell what you want to do and when you want to do it. Now, when I first got introduced to this about 5 years ago at the company I was working at before, I had this big, robust code data set that I was typing out, and man, it took forever and it kind of broke because people would always change things without telling me, and man, it was just a big old headache writing this kind of automated testing software. But the tools, my friend, have gotten a lot better. I recently came across a tool called Axiom that actually allows you to do all of this with no freaking code. This is totally cool. So yeah, in this video, I want to show you how I used Axiom to solve a little problem that I thought of a while back. And I'm gonna show you how to set it all up, how you can set it up for yourself, and why I just think it's totally amazing. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So now that you know what RPA is and what browser bots are, let me go ahead and share with you a problem I was facing and the solution I came up with using RPA. So what you're looking at now, if you don't recognize it, is the Glide data editor. Glide is a no-code, data-driven app and website builder, and it's something that I use pretty much every day for myself and my clients. So inside of Glide, you're able to connect data from different sources like Google Sheets, and in the future, you'll be able to connect data from like Excel and Airtable. But Glide also has their own internal data source, which basically means they store the data. It's inside of their data warehouse. You can't access it outside of Glide. And it's better for a number of reasons that we don't need to get into in this video, but there is one thing that kind of keeps people from using it, and that's because you can't really access the data right now outside of using Glide. So you cannot create an API that would like insert a new row here, insert in some data. But what you can do is, build out a form inside of a Glide app that would enter something in there, add it, and then you come back over to the data, you can see there that the actual data was entered. So using my knowledge of browser bots, I had the thought, well, what if we could hit an API that would then trigger a browser bot that would fill out this form that would then add the data here. So basically we're adding in this middleman, and boy, I figured it out, and that's what I want to share with you. Once it's all said and done, it's pretty much as simple as this. You go to this URL here and you pass in some text that refreshes, and then now it'll take it a second or two, but that will eventually show up right here. Boom, there it is. You see my 3 rocket ships, and I mean, it's wonderful. All I had to do is pass that into this URL here, which is a webhook or an API, and then behind the scenes, it goes through, fills out this form for me, and then that in turn adds the data into this internal data source inside of Glide. This is super duper cool. So now I want to show you exactly how this is set up using a very cool no-code tool called Axiom. When I was hunting for tools, I really couldn't find a tool that would support what I was trying to do, basically triggering a Zapier's app that would then trigger some kind of RPA browser bot task. But I did find Axiom and I reached out to them, and as it turns out, they were literally at the moment working on a Zapier integration and a cloud version of their tool so that we could do exactly what I wanted to do inside of this video. So let's go ahead and create a new Axiom automation. I'm going to go to the form that I want to fill out, and Axiom actually runs as a browser extension. So if I click on that there, I can come into their kind of dashboard interface and create a new automation. I'm going to call this demo, and I'm going to create a new automation, and I'm going to build it from scratch. And what I want to do is interact with a pages interface because I'm going to be filling out this form. The first thing I need to do is paste in a URL. So I will get current URL. This is the page that we're on. And then what I found through testing was I actually needed to add a wait step. So this is going to wait 5 seconds or 5,000 milliseconds. This basically allows the page to load before it tries to enter in the information. After that, we want to enter in some text, and we'll just say testing. And in addition to actually specifying this text, we also need to say where we want to enter this text. So they have this really cool, like simple selector tool here. So I can select the actual text input area that I want to enter in text. Down here, confirm. And then the final step is I want to click an element on the page, and kind of same thing. I just need to click select and then click the button I want to press and then confirm. And then I don't want to click this now, so I'll cancel that. So now let's go ahead and save this, and I'm actually going to run it right now, and we'll see if we can get some data into here. So let me go ahead and run this, and I'm going to run it as a desktop, which basically means I'm going to be able to see it running, and I'll show it to you as well. Awesome. So it just entered that in, and now I can go back to Glide and we can see the data right there. And I didn't have to do that. A robot did it for me. How cool is that? So now that we have this Axiom set up and we can run it, let's go ahead and set up a webhook or an API call through Zapier to trigger this. And that way it can be more automated. So if you're not familiar with Zapier, it's basically a way to connect a bunch of different applications and their APIs together and run them on a schedule or do certain things at a certain time. It's a really cool, robust platform that I use and recommend. So I'm going to create a new Zap, and the trigger for this Zap is going to be a webhook. A webhook is a type of API, and whenever you basically paste it in your URL or call it from another application, it can perform a task. So I'm going to trigger an event whenever this webhook is called, and I'm just going to say catch hook. And then the first thing we need to do, here's the URL that's going to be used for the webhook. Let's go ahead and let's just paste it into here. And then instead of rocket ships, let's add in let's add in something else. We'll just do check marks. Nice. All right, so that returned a success. And so now whenever I come back to Zapier and test the trigger, we now see that something successful was sent through. That's the thing right there, and we'll continue. So now we need to, once that is triggered, the webhook is called, we want to perform something. We want to take action inside of Axiom. Now, Axiom, this is in beta, so you'll have to sign up through their site and get special permission to be able to use this. So if you don't see it whenever you're searching inside of Zapier, that is why. I'm going to run an Axiom. This is the action. I've already connected my account, so I'll continue there. And then we need to paste in the name of the Axiom. So remember, the name of ours is demo. And then we want to pass in the data. So this is the thing. This is what we entered up above. And now I can just say continue. All right, so we're going to go ahead and test and continue. And let's go ahead and turn on the Zap as well. So what we should see after a few moments is another row added here because it successfully ran a test. But wait, because there's something we will need to fix. All right, there it is. So it added in another row, but what you'll notice is it added in testing, and it did not add in the actual check marks that we were trying to pass through. Now, the reason for that is because in our Axiom, we haven't updated it so that it is accepting the parameters from Zapier. So we need to actually change this here. So the way we do that is before we run this little procedure, this little bot, we need to add a step to start. And if I just tap in Zap, we can see there is this right here, receive data from another app. So that's going to allow this task to receive data from another app. And here, now you'll see that there's this yellow thing for insert data. So if I take that out and click on this and insert data from column A, save and close, now this will be passed through. And let's just save that. So now if I go back to this webhook, and instead of check marks, let's do the robot, because we are hiring and working with robots. So that successfully went through, and now we should see some robots added here in just a second. Boom sauce, there it is. My friends, I have created an API that will add data directly to a Glide table. It's so cool. And you might be thinking, you know, Darren, that's pretty cool. I mean, I guess it's cool, but how would you actually use this? Well, let's say that I wanted to track everybody that downloaded this guide. It's my APIs Made Simpler guide. It's one that I share quite often, and I'll talk to you about a little bit more in a sec. But let's just say I had an app that tracked everybody and did something with all that. So what I could actually do is inside of Zapier, instead of triggering this from a webhook, I could do a task from a form. So if I go here, I use Kajabi for my website and all of my downloads. So what I could do is set up a trigger that whenever this API Made Simpler form is filled out, we could then run an Axiom, or that Axiom we just created, and pass in an email. So let me go ahead and turn this one on. And if I come over to here, fill that out, submit that, and now when I come over to Glide, I'm able to actually see that email here as well. Awesome, there we go. That was the problem, trying to get data into the Glide data editor, and I was able to solve it using RPA and browser bots through axiom.ai. All right, I want to give a big shout out to Axiom, one for creating a really awesome no-code tool, and also for basically letting me appease my creative curiosity as well. So if you're interested in trying out Axiom or browser bots in general with no code, I will have a link down to their website down in the description. We talked a lot about RPA and browser bots in this video, and I showed you how it all worked, but one thing that we really didn't get enough time to appreciate and touch on was APIs and webhooks. Whenever you're building applications with no code and you're trying to connect all these websites together, it can be a little overwhelming. And one thing that I tell everybody is crucial to understanding is how APIs work. So that's why I created my APIs Made Simpler ebook. The link is down in the description. It takes you through everything you need to know, starting from the basics of JSON all the way down to covering the little details of APIs. So if you're curious of how all that works, definitely check out that free guide. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see another really cool API project, be sure to click on the video now. And if you don't want to miss any of my other videos, be sure to subscribe. My name is Darren. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.